From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, January the 14th, 2021. Swastikas were discovered on the doors of one of Montreal's largest synagogues yesterday. Congregation Shar HaShamayim in Westmount, a 160-year-old modern Orthodox synagogue, one of the oldest traditional synagogues in North America. Iconic Jewish singer and poet Leonard Cohen was notably laid to rest at the synagogue cemetery. Well, police were called to the synagogue yesterday afternoon when a man believed to be responsible for the swastikas was seen with a canister of gasoline at the synagogue. He was arrested and will reportedly be given a mental health evaluation. Jewish organizations in Canada and here in the U.S. shared their outrage, as did Canadian officials. The mayor of Westmount issued a statement saying that this anti-Semitic act is against our fundamental values and beliefs. We are an inclusive and tolerant city, and we are proud of that. On behalf of the city of Westmount, he said, I want to assure members of the congregation and the entire Jewish community that we are committed to working with them to combat hatred and to build bridges of understanding and solidarity between neighbors of all backgrounds. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the act despicable. He wrote, I condemn this vile act in the strongest terms possible and stand united with the congregation, its rabbi, and Jewish Canadians across the country. We must always denounce anti-Semitic hate, no matter when or where it arises. Israel reached an agreement with the government of Slovakia for the procurement of 17 radar systems made by Israel Aerospace Industries. The agreement, led by Israel's Defense Ministry, will include the transfer of technology and knowledge from Israel to Slovakia alongside industrial cooperation. The systems will be used with NATO defense mechanisms. Defense Minister Benny Gantz tweeted, this was a move that fortifies our position and will help deal with the economic coronavirus, he said. This is further evidence of the strengthening of cooperation with NATO and of Israeli innovation, which I intend to continue to deepen. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRA, is under fire over textbooks it produced being used by Palestinian children. The Institute for Monitoring Peace and Cultural Tolerance in School Education, Impact SE, which is an Israeli watchdog group based out of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem that analyzes and monitors such material, found the UNRWA material to be rife with problematic content that contradicts stated UN values, including the erasure of Israel, incitement to violence, and the glorification of terrorism. The books were part of a new UNRWA curriculum that were issued during the coronavirus pandemic for distance learning. The American Jewish Committee's Transatlantic Institute noted in a tweet that just last November, UNRWA chief Philippe Lanzarini assured lawmakers in the European Union that there is no room for any teaching that would encourage violence, discrimination, racism, and anti-Semitism, demanding accountability. Well, today, Lazzarini responded to this latest report, tweeting and reiterating that there is no place for discrimination, incitement to hatred, violence in UNRWA schools. He said the inappropriate pages from textbooks that were mistakenly distributed during COVID-19 lockdown were quickly replaced with content that adheres to UN values, adding that UNRWA is about to launch an innovative online platform that will host all reviewed and approved learning material for use of students in our schools. Preliminary approval was announced yesterday from the municipality of Jerusalem for the location for a new and permanent American embassy in the city. Jerusalem's Deputy Mayor Fleur Hassan Nahum tweeted that the Jerusalem Municipal Building and Planning Committee approved the plans for the new U.S. Embassy, which she said will be built on Derech Chevron in Jerusalem, a main thoroughfare. as well as, she said, the extension of the current temporary embassy, which is located in the neighborhood of Arnona. The plans now await a secondary approval. By the way, U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman, who heads the embassy, tweeted today of his upcoming departure, writing, "In just 6 days, I will add the word retired to my title, ambassador. While retiring from the post," he said, "I am not retiring from the responsibility and the joy of advancing U.S.-Israel relations in civilian life." Also tweeting that after President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration, Chief of Mission Authority will pass to current Deputy Chief of Mission Jonathan Schreier. "Please give him," Friedman wrote, "a warm welcome and the same support you've shown me." Well, Israel today passed another vaccination milestone as a kindergarten teacher in Ramleh became the 2 millionth Israeli to receive the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Health Minister Yuli Edelstein were on hand at the clinic in Ramleh for the occasion, with Netanyahu saying, "We'll continue until the next million." And in New York City, a familiar face to JBS viewers, Dr. Ruth Westheimer tweeted today a video of herself from the Jacob Javits Center, where she usually appears to sign books. But yesterday, the 92-year-old was there getting her first dose of the coronavirus vaccine.
Hello there, I'm Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Guess what? 30 years. Every year I come to the Javits Center for the book fair. I sign books, I give lectures, and I talk. And this time I came and I just got my shot. Very well organized, and I'm very glad I did it.
Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, January the 14th. At 7 o'clock, it's Talmud study. At 8, Professor Ruth Weiss talks about the way in which Jewish students are being harassed on college campuses with Alan Rubenstein by the Tikva Fund. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Rabbis Uri Regev and Mitchell Wahlberg on L'chaim. At 10:30, author Esther Amini talks about her memoir, Concealed, being the daughter of tradition-bound parents who hungers for more than tradition allows. And coming up next, Shachar Azani speaks with Dr. Asher Salmon, director of the International Relations Department at Israel's Ministry of Health, who provides an update on Israel's quarantine and vaccination efforts, as well as its cooperation with the Palestinians and other nations. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, January the 14th, 2021. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well.